So for us to turn around and tell, the anime community, the creators, the producers, the animators, that hey, you need to conform to meet our standards. What is the standard? Calling out all my nerds, freaks, and geeks. It's mob time.
Don't tune in cause it's showtime. Go ahead and call the gang up for the one time. Rap, Phoop, Ryun, got them on the line. And my life's still great, I'm doing just fine. Hands up.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to the Blerd Mob, your hub for all things black and nerdy. I'm your host, Phoop, joined by my co-host, Ryun. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming service, make sure you hit that follow button so you can get updates from the mob.
And if you nerds, freaks, and geeks are watching us on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those bell notifications for future uploads, and share the video with a friend.
All right. We're back with episode 44 of the Blerd Mob podcast. It's been a minute since we've been in the studio for a regular episode. If you've been keeping up, we've been putting out a few mob reviews. We just finished our Versus Tuesday tournament. We did a live stream for Invincible Season 2. And if you follow us on social media, and if you don't, make sure you check out those our link tree that's in the bio. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and all that good stuff. We've been putting out a few music mob reviews for some of the albums that's been coming out. We put out mob reviews to wrap up the winter anime season, because now we're in the spring anime season. So make sure you get caught up on all of that good content. Let us know how you feel about some of our scores in the mob reviews that we put out. So let's step into it. How you been, Ryan?
Man, chilling. I finished my 5th class in grad school, got another A. So I'm halfway through with the program. I don't know if y'all saw my chat. I started Windbreaker, and it's actually pretty good. Yeah.
That's what I've been hearing. I wanted to start it last night, but last night I spent 6 hours trying to finish my homework assignment. And after that, I was like, I don't want to look at any more screens. I just want to lay here and do nothing. But my plan after the recording is that I need to get caught up on Kaiju number 8. I've started both Kaiju number 8 and Go-Go Loser Ranger. So I just need to finish out the episodes that I missed, and I wanted to start Windbreaker. So those are my list. X-Men 97 been going dumb, no?
Nice.
All my X-Men 97 fans, put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. This is not live. Don't put it in the chat. Put it in the comments if you've been watching X-Men 97. Leave a comment below. Let me know how y'all been feeling about X-Men 97, because we are approaching the last 3 episodes, and the creator of X-Men 97 said it's about to go crazy.
Nice.
I also watched Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 the other day, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know how I feel about it, but just to put on the podcast, that shit was ass. I cannot get that time back. That hour and whatever, however long, that movie's long for it to do absolutely nothing.
Are they getting a bad mob review then? What was the premise of it?
I think it's a setup, because I think this this whole Crisis on Infinite Earths thing is supposed to be a 3-part animated event for DC. And what I got from the first movie is that this is supposed to be a setup into the second movie. But the way that they went up, the execution was garbage. Because at the end of it, it's like what I got from it, I understood, and how we can play into the second part of this event. But the execution was garbage. Trash, boo-boo, garbage, ass. I was very disappointed. I was so disappointed that I had to go in the archives of my tweets and find my top 5 DC animated movie thread
to
share.
Let me remind myself.
I was to remind myself that DC actually makes good quality. I don't know what's going on with this. One, I don't like the new animation that they're toying with. I watched the whatever that Supergirl movie they had with her and Brainiac. I watched it, and that one was cool. I put the animation aside because I was like, the storyline for this one was actually decent, and I actually enjoyed it. I couldn't get into War World. I'll go back and try it. I couldn't get into it. But this right here, No, I
Mm-mm. I'm gonna watch it only because I put it on our agile card, but I was like, ooh, I thought it was gonna be alright because I like that Green Lantern movie, but by the sounds of it, a lot of DC movies have came out after that one, huh?
mm-hmm. They've
Mm,
done War World. They've done another Batman movie, which I don't think is connected to this Crisis timeline that they're doing. The Supergirl one, I've watched that one. Um, in the War World, and in the Crisis one, I've already said War World, but I
okay,
don't know. This
okay.
slate of DC animated movies has not been hitting for me. It has not been hitting.
Mm.
Like, I hate to say it, but Marvel's animation has been beating the shit out of DC.
And that's referring to like X-Men 97 and that Superman
Mm,
series, huh?
what if Superman's not Marvel?
Oh, you're right. Ooh, shoot. The X-Men 97 series.
Somebody got to get a whooping after this. What
How
was? We
dare you
got.
embarrass me on that
How
podcast?
dare you? But okay, so the Adventures of Superman was pretty good. If was pretty good as far as DC series. I guess I was, if I was to compare them both, the takeaways that I have from DC is Adventures of Superman and Harley Quinn. But Harley Quinn is more like a Family Guy, American Dad, like DC animated series, where
Okay.
it's more funnies. Like, it has
Like a
plot, but it's
sitcom
more,
style
but
thing.
it's more, to me it's more funnies than plot. The
Okay.
Adventures of Superman is more plot heavy to me. And if I was to compare that to what Marvel has, the What If series, the animation is different. The different plots that they play around with have been pretty cool. I like season one more than I like season two of What If, but X-Men 97 has been eating every
Okay.
episode. It's been
Okay.
crazy. But
Hmm.
I don't know, DC. I don't know what you're doing.
See, I've been on my anime grind. Now that Shogun's done, I'm
Hmm.
probably finna go. I'm gonna go back and watch that for sure. But everything else been lacking. Like, has any of these movies interested you? Like Godzilla and all that, ain't none of that really look like some I
I
wanted
want
to
to
watch.
watch. I want to go see Challengers. Um, Antoine mentioned that he watched the first Dune movie, and he said it convinced him enough to watch the second one, which I heard the second one is more action heavy, while the
I
first
heard
one is
Dune
more
2 was
like
well
setting up.
received.
Like, the first one is more setting up like certain plot points or whatever, and then Dune 2 is just like, yeah, so we taught you all this shit, right? So, like, boom, here we go. So,
Okay.
based on Antoine's perspective, I may try out Dune to watch Dune 2. I want to see Challengers. I'm not really into the Godzilla, but I heard the last one that came out was pretty good.
See, that nor Planet of the Apes caught me. Like, I know they're old school popular franchises, but they ain't catch me.
Planet of the Apes doesn't really catch me. I like the first one. I did like the first one. Now, the first one, but then after they went on and started making more, I think I tried to get into like the second one that they made, and I was like, I don't think I really like this as much as I like the first one.
Which one was it where the gorilla was on the car and yelled at the dude and started speaking and it became a
That was the
meme?
first. That was the first one.
Okay, I think I enjoyed that one a little bit.
The
Yeah.
first one is basically where how it all started, and I did
Right.
like that one. And then the
Okay.
second one is basically like when it's just the apes, and I was like, I don't think I really like this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The only movie that I really like I missed out on, I wanted to see that Beekeeper movie, but then it ended up leaving theaters before I could go back and watch it. So
Oh,
now I
talking
gotta wait.
about with the guy from Fast and the Furious,
Yeah, he being a honestly, he do a good job with all of his solo action films. So I
but
was
they're
like,
all
oh,
the
I'll check it
same
out.
though.
I mean, still action,
I
something to
feel
give me a
you.
reason to go to the theaters is what I felt like when I saw that one.
I think my aunt saw it and she said it was pretty good.
Okay, I'll
So
watch it when it
whenever
hit
it
HBO
gets on,
Max
yeah, I said whenever it gets on digital for free on digital,
for free.
it might be worth checking out.
Hmm.
I'm still waiting for Madam Web to be free on digital just so I can see how bad it is because I refuse to pay for that movie. I refuse. I want to see how bad it is, but I want to see how bad it is for free.
What's funny, it can't be as bad as what was that Magical Society of N words, and they
Of
took that
Negroes, they
out of
snatched that out
theaters.
3. It made 2. It's made $2 million, and they snatched it out in the 3rd week of it being in theaters.
I know whoever that director and producer and writers are, they are all getting fired. They getting
Yeah,
fired.
yeah. I feel like I like that we were all like as a collective understood that this isn't, we don't like this, and that we all collect. It's not like how Avatar went, where we were all like, "Hey, we don't really like this, but we're gonna watch it anyway." This was like, we don't like this, and we not going to see it. Period. And we stood on that.
Mike not working. I disliked it so much that I was like, let me ignore this. Let me never look at it again. Let me block some of the words on X, because I was just like, whoever supports this, whoever thinks this is cool, it is what it is. I'm not going to highlight it. I know how algorithms work. If I talk about it and say how much I hate it, that gives it more views. So I just
Hmm.
ignored it. And then when I saw, oh, it got snatched out of theater, I was like, my goal was completed.
Yeah,
Thank God.
I feel like collectively as a community, we was
Collectively.
like, we are not fucking with this, and we stood 10 toes down on that. That we was not fucking with that concept or that movie. But I don't know. I'm just waiting for, at this point, like I said, I want to go see Challengers, and at this point, I think I'm just waiting for Deadpool Wolverine to come out. That Transformers 1. If we just want to move into the topics, because what I'm about to talk
Mm-hmm.
about is the recent trailers that just came out. We got another Deadpool Wolverine trailer. We
Nice.
got the first trailer for Transformers 1 with Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, and Scarlett Johansson. Um, and we got a trailer for Joker 2 with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, who's making her debut as Harley Quinn. So,
Right.
just to step into those trailers, how did you feel about that?
Okay, so out of the trailers, if I had to do a tier list, it's Wolverine and Deadpool, then skip like positions 2 and 3, then Joker, then skip positions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then those Transformers.
I
Like,
would honest, I Dead, Deadpool and Wolverine is not selling for me.
hmm,
I watched the trailer like 3 times on 3 separate occasions. Like, not like today I watched it 3 times. Like, I watched it when it first came out. I watched it
mm-hmm,
again, and then I just watched it this morning. And I get what they're doing, because we already knew that the TVA was going to be involved, for everybody who's like familiar with the TVA from the Loki series. Wolverine coming back was like, okay, cool. And then they have all of these rumors about like previous actors from the previous X-Men movies hopping in, but seeing the premise of it, like, oh, we're trying to save whatever world Deadpool is in from getting like erased. Like, he's running around being a variant or whatever the TVA's after him. And it's like, I get it, but it's not selling to me. Like, watching the trailer on those 3 separate occasions did not make me excited for this movie.
see, I liked what I saw so far because I don't know much about the TBA. I'm not really watching any of the other Marvel series, but I liked Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' interactions, and I
Hmm.
trust Ryan Reynolds to actually make something funny. And I like that when they got to fight, and I was like, okay, now we're finna see two people who are not. I mean, yeah, like immortal, but like they can be X'd off or whatever, like they can be eliminated. But like seeing them go at it seems like it might be like one or two, probably even three little scuffles. And I was like, okay, out of all the movie trailers that have dropped like within the past 6 months to this year, this was the first one that I made me go like, I'm definitely going to the theaters to watch this in 2024 because ain't
I'm
nothing
going to,
else done that for me.
and I feel like part of the reason of that is like a lot of movies got pushed back because of the strikes. But I'm going to see it, one, because I'm interested, because they put the TVA in it. I'm interested to see how they're going to intertwine everything inside of the MCU with this multiverse saga thing they got going on. So I'm interested to see how they tie it together. But like
Mm-hmm.
the trailer itself didn't just make me excited for this movie. I don't know what it was about it. I just didn't. It didn't make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up like, ooh shit, I know this is gonna be
Like you
good.
wanted it to, yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm not, and I don't know how to explain it, because y'all seen me call on this podcast and be like, man, I watched that motherfucking trailer and woo. But
Mm-hmm.
like this one, it didn't give the vibes. So I don't know.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, if I look at the other two trailers, like it wasn't like I'm not as in depth with like Marvel lore or anything to have looked at and be like, oh, I see that they're finna go for this and go for that. But when I looked at the other trailers, Transformers, I was like, I don't think my audience, or rather my interest, is what it was targeting. It seemed like it was going for like a more youthful, young. If you like the DreamWorks and Pixar modern day films, where it's like kind of like a overcoming challenges and all that other stuff coming into yourself, it seemed like it was going for that route. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really interested in that.
Hmm.
And then the Joker 2 trailer, I don't know what to expect from it. Like everybody said it was going to be a
I
musical. I'm assuming like it's going to do that little thing where it's like, oh, the musical is actually going on in the background, but what we as the audience is seeing is like the story that it's discussing and all of the events and where their headspace is. That's what I'm assuming. But it
I
didn't
don't think
give
it's
me
gonna
nothing to
be
make me
a.
go like, what's going on here?
I would agree. And I don't think it's going to be a musical in the traditional sense. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what put off everybody at first when they said it was going to be a musical. Everybody, I think everybody was thinking in their head, like, The Greatest Showman, like the way that they do the Disney Channel
Yeah.
musicals, like the way that the Mean Girls musical just went. I don't think it's going to be a musical in the traditional sense. I think what they're going to go for, and this is just my assumption, is the way that they did The Killing Joke. For anybody who's read or watched The Killing Joke, there's a moment in the plot where the Joker starts singing. Like he has this whole song like this, in it's singing. It's part of the plot, but in the middle of the plot, he's singing a song.
Right.
So in that sense, would you consider The Killing Joke a musical? Or would you just consider that this is The Killing Joke and oh, here goes this part where the Joker's singing a song?
Right. I mean,
So
that makes sense.
that's where I feel like the Joker 2, that route that is going, that there is a underlining plot. And at certain pieces of time, they may play something on a little piano. The scenes where they had Joker and Harley dancing may well be like hallucinations, or not hallucinations, or like this is what it looks like in our head. Like this is a
Right.
delusion like in our head, but we're really just dancing in the middle of the street like a bunch of sickos.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe it's like an internal thing, but when they said, "Oh, it's a musical," I feel like that was just really off-putting for the
Mhm.
people who thoroughly enjoyed Joker 1, because I was a huge fan of Joker 1. Like, I absolutely loved it. I was like, whatever y'all do with this and y'all keep it going, I'm gonna support it. And then when y'all said it was a musical, I'm like, wait, whoa, 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 what we doing here?
I think
Like,
what really sent people like off the rails is that one they announced it's a musical and it was like, okay, and then they casted Lady Gaga and everybody was like, whoa, they're doing this shit for real.
right, like y'all,
And
what are y'all doing here?
I think that's what really set people off. And I was like, okay, a musical, and everybody's like, okay. And then there was like, oh yeah, Lady Gaga's gonna be Harley Quinn, and then it was like, oh,
like,
y'all was for real.
like y'all did not pay attention to y'all's audience at all. Like y'all did not read the temperature. Like someone said, "Hey y'all, let's subvert their expectations and say it's a musical. Like they're gonna love that, right?" And then it's like, oh, that didn't work.
I if they go the Killing Joke route, where it's not the traditional musical, and it's just the Joker just you know trolling everybody, and hey,
Right.
I'm really messing with y'all, but let me sing this song right quick while I cause mass destruction. I can roll with that, because
Same.
that's not far out of his character to do that, and we've seen him do that before. Even in the Batman animated series, there are times where he just makes songs out of the blue, but it doesn't take away from the plot. It's just a Joker. being Joker.
See, I would appreciate that. That sounds like something I would watch. But I don't know, because the trailer kind of like, I was just watching like, okay, where's the musical? Where's the musical? And like that's what they kind of like put in my head. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it. Maybe I need to watch it like again in like a day or two, give it another shot. I'm definitely going to
Mm-hmm.
watch the movie regardless. But you know what I mean? It didn't hit me.
It made me curious enough to see how they're gonna go about it, because with this joke, to me, with this Joker Harley Quinn story, they're kind of spinning the story, and it looks
Mhm.
like they meet each other inside of what asylum they're in as patients,
Mhm.
instead of like the usual storyline where Harley was the Joker's doctor, and he manipulated her to fall in love with him and then break him out of prison. Then they become Joker and Harley Quinn. This sounds like that they're both equally not right in the head, and they just come
Yeah.
together and do more things as a unit, as Joker and Harley Quinn.
It looks like an interesting approach. It definitely does look interesting.
I would be
Like,
curious. I'm curious to see how they play it off. I think, like you said before, I think the musical piece is what's throwing everybody off and making it seem like hey, you guys aren't really paying attention to the audience that like the first one. But I looking into it, I think they did pay attention, and I think the music part is not going to be as detrimental as everybody thinks it's going to be.
fair enough. I'm gonna watch it though.
I'm gonna watch it. But going to Transformers 1, I definitely see where you're coming from, like it being like a coming of age Transformers story, because this is basically a prequel to everything that we know as far as
Yeah,
Transformers.
exactly.
Because Optimus Prime isn't Optimus Prime yet. Megatron isn't Megatron yet. Bumblebee can actually speak in words, so it's like, okay, like this is a prequel to like everything that we've known about Transformers. And I found the trailer interesting enough that I can check it out.
For me, it wasn't interesting enough, and when I saw what it was going for, it didn't pique my interest enough to where I'll pay for it. Because those
Mhm.
movies like that just don't catch my interest anymore. Like, even though a lot of stuff is like regurgitated, repeated, and just rehashed over and over again, like
Mhm.
coming of age stories are like, if I don't already have a strong affinity for the franchise, eh, you know what I mean?
I would say if this goes well, this would what would get me back into the Transformers franchise, because I haven't truly enjoyed a Transformers movie since Transformers 3.
I was just about to say the first three is pretty much it for me. Like the
Rise of Beast was cool, but I haven't truly enjoyed a Transformers movie since Transformers 3.
yeah,
So
I
like
would definitely agree.
if this goes well, I think this will get me back into the series. What was I gonna say? I'm not mad at Thor being Optimus Prime. I think the voice is fitting. When I heard it, now what you about to say?
Funny enough, it didn't click that it was Chris Hemsworth, which is a good thing. Like it didn't
Mhm.
click that, oh, when I was watching that trailer, I'm just watching Chris Hemsworth cosplay as Optimus Prime. It really was just like, okay, this is a good voice actor doing a good job. Which
Mhm.
now that you brought it to my attention, I'm like, oh, that's pretty surprising. Chris probably is just a great voice actor because I didn't even notice
Mhm.
it, to be honest.
Like I when I was listening to him talk, even though he wasn't like, fully Optimus Prime, like even though this is a prequel, like hearing him, I was like, okay, I can see how by the end of this movie, when he transitions into being Optimus Prime, this is gonna hit. Now,
Hmm.
who I'm curious about, because they have Brian Tyree Henry being Megatron. Um, and just from what we've gotten from Megatron, I am very curious to see how he pulls that off.
Fair enough, yeah. Yeah, because it was
Like,
like interesting because it seems like they're not really like enemies yet. Like they're actually cool or whatever.
right, but the whole thing is though, like, um, and this is just me coming off the movies. Like, I'm not real deep in the Transformers lore. Like, I know there's been previous movies, TV
Right.
shows. I think there's been like comics and shit like that. Like, I'm not that deep in the Transformers. But given what I know from the movies, Optimus Prime and Megatron were like brothers
Okay.
until Megatron started being on that Decepticon shit, and Optimus was like, okay, you know, the usual trope of we're brothers until we're not brothers because now we're on separate sides.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So
because I noticed when
that's
they did that little pan over where they showed his logo for the Decepticons, and I was like, okay, so
mhm.
this is like an origin story as well. Okay.
Right, and that's what I'm curious to see because out of the Transformers movies, and like I said, I I stopped watching after I did watch that fourth one, and that fourth one disappointed me, and I didn't watch the rest of them that came after that. And then Rise of the Beast didn't have Megatron in it. So just coming off of that, I am curious to see what's the event that breaks Optimus and Megatron apart. What made Optimus head honcho of the Autobots, and what made Megatron head honcho of the Decepticons? Like, it's gotta hit. That like things like that makes me curious enough to go watch this movie to see how they're going to set that up.
So my question is this canon to all of the other movies? One, are all of the movies connected? Like I remember the first three being connected, but are all of the movies that have come after that I haven't watched connected? And is this a prequel to those, or is this basically a new series?
I think this is a new series. So everything, so Transformers 1 till whenever Michael Bay stopped making the movies.
Right.
Whenever, like, when Mark Wahlberg came in, whenever they stopped with that, those are connected. And then that Bumblebee movie with Haley Steinfeld is just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that connects to. That
Like a
it,
one-off.
yeah. And then that Transformers Rise of the Beast movie could be connected to Bumblebee, or they may be in the same universe. I don't know. I stopped keeping track. But
Right.
I don't think this animated movie is connected at all. I think this is just an animated movie that could lead off to a series of a universe of Transformers movies, but I don't think it's connected to um everything that's been created in the past, but I think the foundations are at least still going to be there. That Optimus and Megatron were cool until they wasn't. And now it's all out war between uh Optimus and Megatron. And even the way that this movie is going, we may get a couple movies where they don't leave Cybertron at all. Like all of the
Mm-hmm.
Transformers movies we've seen in the past is like all of this Optimus, Megatron, the war, and all of that other stuff has happened before. Like that's already been set up, and now we're on Earth cutting the fuck up. But this sounds like origin and then leading up to everything that we haven't seen for real in the movies. And then we might end up on Earth.
Okay. Okay. I'll watch it when it's free. I'm sorry. Sorry to all the movie buffs. I'll watch it when it's free.
I think as far as Transformers goes, it's fair because
Yeah.
Transformers has kind of been like a up down type of
Yeah.
thing with like the movies and stuff and the way that the lore's been going. But like Transformers stands up because it's robots turning into these cool ass cars. Like it's deaf robots that's turning into Camaros and pickup trucks and army planes and helicopters. Like that first movie, like ugh,
Oh,
like
honestly, they need to start turning into EVs now. EVs are big enough. We need a Tesla transformer.
I'm telling you, like if they were the thing that Transformers could do a lot of stuff. Like that first movie, and I tell everybody, Transformers 1 was a cultural shift.
It was.
That Camaro when that Camaro came out,
I
like
ain't never seen anybody drive a Camaro until that movie came out.
the Linkin Park
Yeah.
doing the soundtrack, like come on. Come on.
Megan.
And then like the and I think that's when like IMAX started getting real big. To see Transformers in IMAX,
I think so. You might be right. Yeah. That was like what, 2008 ish, 2007 ish.
2007.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was
I
around
think
the
that's
time when we start seeing
when IMAX
IMAX,
started getting,
XD, and 4D. Yeah.
yeah, seeing
Yeah.
Transformers in IMAX. Are you kidding me?
It was
But
fire.
I say all of that to say that it's fair if you want to skip out on seeing Transformers 1 just because of like the track record that Transformers has with its movies.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for that wave of movies that got delayed from the strikes to come out in like 2025.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'm
2025 is
waiting
gonna be
for.
crazy.
Hmm.
2025, as far as movies go, is going to be crazy.
And I want to see the shockers. Like what I'm really, I don't think I could ever see myself become like an indie film buff. Well, honestly, probably if someone introduced me to a good few. But I'm waiting for those shockers that you didn't know about, like how the menu really caught my attention,
Hmm.
and it was honestly probably like one of my favorite movie of the year just because I had no expectations for it. I'm waiting for those to start coming back. Like the movies that aren't off of pre-established franchises, the ones that take some risk, they had a good investment budget, but it wasn't as huge as the ones for say like Transformers and everything else. I'm waiting for those movies to start hitting theaters again. Cause that one
Yeah,
really shocked me, and I'm really like in the mood for something new when it comes to like American film and movies.
I feel like this would be the year for it because there's not like, as far as like the major franchises that we usually cover on the podcast, they're not doing much. Like Marvel's
Hmm.
only, I believe Marvel's only movie this year is Deadpool Wolverine, and I think DC's only movie for this year is the Joker 2. Now I know
Yeah,
Sony is supposed to be dropping Craven the Hunter, but given their track record, I don't think anybody's really checking for that.
I haven't heard anybody talking about it. I honestly forgot about it.
They put out one trailer, and then I just saw news that they're delaying it to December because I think it was supposed to come out in either September or November. But they
Mm,
delayed it to December. But given the way that Madam Web went, I really don't think anybody's checking for that.
yeah, I feel like they're just. I don't know. I don't want to be like one of those people who's like predicting like, oh my gosh, there's going to be a resurgence in film or whatever. But I was just talking on X with somebody, and I was like, I understand business. I understand investing in IPs that are just familiar. But I want
Hmm.
us to be more risk, like better risk takers. Like the reason these IPs got big in the first place is because we took risk. And I understand we got all these shareholders and investors, and we got to keep the stock up and blah 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 blah. But I want to see more risks being taken, like completely new IPs, completely new franchises, new, fully new takes. Let's explore more genres. We don't. We all have seen the fall of the MCU, quote unquote. We don't all gotta aim to make that one action movie universe. I want to see the new stuff. Like the menu was great, and that is my golden child for what I'm asking for. Like new ideas to be produced. You know what I mean?
I think this is the year for it, and I also think that people just have. I think you have to start exploring movies outside of your comfort zone too,
Yeah.
because I know you're very action heavy, and sometimes you might find you a little hidden gem that's not action heavy. But I think we're going to find that you're going to have to step out of the genres that you're usually accustomed to. You're going to have to watch something that's not in your usual repertoire to find those golden gems of movie studios that are taking risks, that are trying to make movies that are not like everything else.
The one thing that did peak, I saw a horror movie that looked like it might be interesting. The Strangers or something. Was that what it was called? I think. I was like, I might go check that out.
Did
It
I see the
looked like,
trailer for that?
I think it was The Strangers. I think it was like a YouTube. It popped up as a YouTube trailer before I watched an episode. I was like, oh, what is that? Well, it looked
Hmm.
like it might be a little scary, so I might check that out. But I haven't seen like any. Like, are there any rom coms dropping? You know what I'm saying? What's like some other major genres that kind of
For
get slept on in this generation?
this year, um, I don't think I see news of people trying to make movies, but I haven't seen trailers. So I guess like
Mm-hmm.
as they come up, like as the trailers come up, you'll just have to,
Yeah,
see, is this interesting enough for me to check into? Cause like I want to see challengers, which like
I've yet to see a trailer
basically
about it. I've seen everybody talking about the promo, but what's it about? I ain't seen a single
is,
trailer.
you haven't seen none of the trailers for challengers?
All I saw was people being mad that they got the NG, ERS, and challengers at the bottom,
That
and was
that wasn't
like,
a real poster. That wasn't a real
"That's
poster.
that's the only thing. That's the only reason I
No,
even know that
really,
challengers exist."
it's it focuses, so Zendaya's in it. So it focuses on, it's a like a sports, I wouldn't call it a rom com because it seems like it's like messy, like it's like messy drama, like it's like three-way drama. But
So
basically,
drama.
it's these two tennis players, and Zendaya's like the star. athlete or whatever, and they basically both have a crush on her, and they start like this whole like throuple thing, and then she ends up getting hurt real bad that like kicks her out of the whole thing. So she started coaching the two of them, but like with coaching the two of them, like she's kind of like going back and like it's like a love triangle type situation that gets like real messy.
Was this the one when people was making fun of it because two dudes were on the side of her kissing her cheek, and folk was like,
Yeah,
"Why Tom Holland watching this?" Okay,
yeah, that's the
okay.
that's the movie. But the reviews I've been seeing that it's been getting good reviews, and I saw a review on TikTok when one of them was saying that this is like one of Zendaya's like standout roles, where it's not like Zendaya's playing somebody like this is like a Rue level or even higher. Like they compared it to her performance as Rue in Euphoria.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna check out a trailer because honestly, Euphoria was the one thing that really put me on to Zendaya. Because like prior to that, Zendaya didn't really impress me as an actress. I could see why people liked her and were excited about her, but Euphoria was the thing that made me go, okay, I like this about Zendaya. Like whatever
Hmm.
she did here, this was superior for me.
They basically saying that it's Euphoria like times 10 what she did in this movie.
That has piqued my interest now. Okay,
So that's what I'm
okay.
saying. Like you have to step out for us to find the good movies. You're gonna have to step out of your comfort zone, which
Hell,
you're usually looking for.
I gotta see the trailers too. They gotta pop up. I'll look into their trailers. I'll search up the Challenger stuff. I'll search that up.
I'm surprised you didn't see it. I thought. Okay.
Mm.
But speaking of more movies coming up, we're gonna take a trip back to Avatar: The Last Airbender at CinemaCon. Paramount announced that the first Avatar: The Last Airbender movie is going to animated movie is going to be called Aang: The Last Airbender. Is going to focus on the OG gang from the series, and they're all going to be in their late 20s, early 30s. Um, they didn't give too much of the plot, only that Dave Bautista is going to be voicing the villain of the series. This is going to be the first out of the trilogy of movies that they're going to be making. It was supposed to debut October 10th, 2025. Recently, news has came out that it's getting pushed back to January 2026. So,
Ugh. Why do they be
I
talking about these movies so early? Why they bring it?
I think they're trying to keep the excitement up because like Avatar Studios, and we talked about this on our Avatar: The Last Airbender mob review, that Avatar Studios has been talking big shit since like 2021.
Yeah.
And we've been waiting for these movies. They talked about the movies that were gonna come out. They talked about the Avatar series that's, as far as we know, is still supposed to be coming out 2025. And I think they're just trying to keep the hype up. And I think they're trying to keep the hype up, like, even though Netflix's live action series came, they're still trying to say, hey, we still got Paramount's starting to be like, hey, we still got this Avatar content on the side. Um, I don't know.
Mm.
That's all I can say. I think they're just trying to keep the hype up, so when the trailer finally does drop, we're gonna be like, hell yeah. I don't think
Because it just sounds disappointing when it's like, oh, okay, decent premise, 2026. Why y'all telling me about it now? So a good year, like
I
over
think
a
it's
year and a
because
half.
I think they had to say something because I think everybody, because we're in 2024 now. Like 2021, when we back in 2021, and they were talking about these movies are coming out in 2025, and it's like, okay, that's like 4 years from now. But now we're in 2024, so now everybody's like, hell yeah, these movies are supposed to be coming out next year. We're supposed to be getting this animated series out next year. Like Paramount, where's the trailer? Where's the concept pictures? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
posters? Who's the cast? And I feel like they had to say something. So yeah, they came out with all the news about the movie, and then they turned around, oh yeah, it's coming out 2026. Like really, the 2026 part is what got me, because now it's feeling like GTA 5. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, GTA 5, punch in the gut. Oh yeah, it's not coming out until 2026. And it's like, okay.
shoot, it's not just them. Elder Scrolls 6 did that. A few like IPs have done that. Like if y'all announcing something and it's more than a year away, keep that away from me. Keep it. I give me a sneak peek or an announcement right at the 1 year mark. 2 to 3 months after that, give me a teaser trailer. And at the 6 month mark, show me one real legitimate trailer.
I think they
That's
just
what I
had to,
want.
and I would agree with that. But I think, as in the case of Avatar Studios, I think they had to say something, because if the movie's not coming out in 2025 and we're already almost halfway through 2024, you're gonna have to tell us something that this movie's not coming out when it's supposed to.
I think it's for their investors. I think they're like, hey, let's make sure that we're actually investing something. Are people actually excited for it? And it's like, okay, let's test the waters. There's still conversation. Hey, look at this. They're still arguing about who's better, Korra and Aang. They want this type of
Yeah.
stuff. I think it's one of those situations.
Yeah, and I heard the games that they've been putting out haven't been doing good either. So I think they had to say something about the movies to keep
Yeah.
everybody invested. And Avatar is one of those universes that I feel like people won't stop being invested in, because even without the live action or the animated series, they still have like the comics. Like the Roku book
Yeah.
is supposed to be coming out sometime this year. But I understand that the the visual content is what gives them the most bang for the buck. Like I understand that 100%.
Yeah.
But
A
I
lot of the
just don't
comics are
think,
still kind of niche in a way.
right. But I don't see the interest in Avatar just dying off the planet. Like we would just stop, like one day everybody would wake up and be like, okay, let's just stop talking about Avatar.
Yeah.
Because they still have content on the back end, but I do understand that it's the visual content. And like to touch on your thing with like the investors and the stakeholders and stuff like that, I could see them being at Avatar Studios head like, hey, Netflix
We
then,
giving you this money.
like Netflix, like I understand that y'all left, but are y'all seeing the jump that Netflix got from this live action series? So
Like it did better than average, but it
where's
ain't
our
just hit
shit?
like we wanted it to.
Like where's our shit? Like we have nothing. We have
Hmm.
nothing. Like we don't even have a series. We don't have a short film. We don't have nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, here's the funny thing. Because I talk all this smack. I'ma watch it. I'm still going to watch it. It's just like you're teasing me now. It's so far away. I'm probably honestly going to forget about it until y'all say something else. And it's like y'all might as well have just waited. I'm not finna be
I would
all
like
over social media talking about this for a year and a half.
I Me neither. I mean, I saw the news came and went. And like I'm excited that we're finally getting more information on the movie.
Hmm.
But, I'm not gonna sit here twiddling my thumbs on Twitter until, whenever the first trailer drops and be like, oh my god, I can't wait till that movie comes out. I can't wait till that movie
Exactly.
comes out. Like, nah, y'all gonna have to I'm just
Show
gonna
me something.
chill until y'all show me
Hmm.
something. And then we can get excited. And then we can start getting into those conversations. But like right
Facts.
now, I don't know. I agree with you. I think it's just we're at CinemaCon, investors, stakeholders. We've been talking big shit about Avatar Studios and all of these movies and these series that we got planned. We gotta say something. Cause y'all haven't said shit. For real. Like y'all
Exactly.
haven't said shit for real since 2021.
Yeah. And like we get it. We don't get me wrong. We fully get it. We understand times change. We was healing from all them issues. We had the strikes. Like we get it. It's just at this point, wait it out. For me, I would say just wait it out
I
because
think
this
at
ain't
this
doing
point
nothing.
now it's waited out. At this
Yeah.
point, I think it's waited out. I think it's, hey, we got to say something. We don't have a lot to give you, but here's, some breadcrumbs, and now we wait it out until
Exactly.
2026 or until the
Exactly.
first trailer comes out. Now we wait it out. Here's some breadcrumbs. Now y'all wait it out.
Hmm. Like
So,
at least Fairy Tale dropped us some promo images. You know what I'm saying?
bro, when Fairy Tale comes back in July, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am
Y'all
not
not seen us.
responsible for the. I'm not responsible for the person I will become when Fairy Tail comes back. I'm not
I
responsible. Fairy Tail
show
was
me.
my first anime.
I remember putting you on the fairy tale. That was so funny because I was like, finally, like I selfishly, I was like, finally, I have someone to talk to about fairy tale. That's not just somebody who's going to be all up in my ear telling me it's like, what's the phrase? It's good when a B word
Fairy
narrator's
Tail
in my
real
ear.
good when ain't somebody in your ear telling you it's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, like now that I have someone I could sit down with and be like, okay, yeah, you see the beauty that is fairy tale. I was so happy, bro. And now we coming back. Now we getting that zero. Now we
Now we're
not
coming
zero.
back.
100-year quest.
100 Years Quest is gonna. I'm excited. I'm excited for Fairy
Mm-hmm.
Tail to come back. Honestly, like I've been waiting for this since Fairy Tail ended the first
And I
time.
feel like they did right. I feel like they did right. Like someone said, "Hey, it's coming." Left it at that. Everybody else, it's the fans. We're like, "Where's that? Where's that? Where's that?" You know what? Boom! Here are your images. It's
Well, I
coming.
think the manga. I think the manga for 100 Years Quest is still going.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's at like
I mean,
volume 14 now. I think.
that might be right. But yeah, like the manga is still going. I'm excited for it to be animated because I love the way that the fairy tales animated, and I love the fact that everybody has different magical powers and the way that they exhibit that throughout the anime. I'm so excited for that shit to come back.
I'm just happy for an old school shonen that I fell in love with, and it's like Fairy Tail scratches a certain itch, like the balance between comedy, still giving you that action shonen, and honestly, it's one of the best that in what the ways that it handles its form of magic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to piss a few folks off, but like I don't like the way Black Clover and a few others just handle raw wizard based magic. You know what I'm saying? I like how Fairy Tail handles it, and it's fun. I like the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Lucy. I miss Wendy. It's not just my favorites, Mira Jane and
Hey,
all of them.
you know a dude fiending for Fairy Tail when he say he miss Lucy, cause I don't miss.
That's I
you know,
know.
you feeling bad for Fairy Tail. He said he
Yeah,
miss Lucy.
I I never hated Lucy. I never hated Lucy. And
Lucy was
as
annoying
the
me. Lucy was annoying to me until there was a certain point where Lucy's power took a turn, and I was like, okay, you doing something. I like what you doing. Let's keep it pushing.
Grand Magic Games, probably when she got the outfits with her powers and was able to
I think
summon
it
two
might
of
have
them.
been before. I think it might have been before Grand Magic Games. I think it actually might have been the island, the Timro Island art.
I could see that too. I could see that too. See, Lucy was one of those characters where it's like she ain't make me mad. She ain't make me mad. It's like as like the main as like uh technically Lucy is the MC.
Technically, like everybody forgets
It,
that. Like everybody says that Natsu is the MC, and I was like, no, he's
technically this
not.
is all from Lucy's
This is
perspective.
this Lucy is the MC, and
Mm.
that's that misogyny we be talking about because
That's
Lucy is the MC. Lucy is really the MC of Fairy Tail, and then Natsu showed him, and everyone's like, okay, Natsu's MC.
yeah, they see like the wild dude who's like strong but a little stupid, and they're like, "Oh, that's the MC." It's like, no. When you watch
No,
the first episode, it's
Lucy is
Lucy
the
coming to Fairy
MC.
Tale. When everybody
Yes.
disappears and we're coming after this hiatus, is Lucy saying, "Where is everybody? I miss Natsu. I miss Erza."
Mm-hmm.
It was Lucy who did all of that. Lucy
Yeah.
is the MC of Fairy Tale.
Yeah.
It may not
For
look like it.
it may not look like it, and like I can understand the misconceptions. Like as we got into more arcs, into more episodes, they definitely plot wise. A lot of the plot does surround Natsu and the whole
Mm-hmm.
dragon slayer things and all of that. So I get the misconception. But Lucy is the main character of Fairy Tail.
She that girl. She that girl.
Lucy
She that girl.
Heartfilia is the MC of Fairy Tail.
I'm being honest. I miss my girl Lucy. I miss Ayers. I miss Wendy. I miss Gray and Natsu arguing. I want some more fairy tale. I
I
do.
feel you. But while we're talking about anime, the next topic that I wanted to get into for this episode is that um it was a news article that came out that Naruto and Bleach anime studio presidents rejects the idea that anime should conform to Western standards, and it's just been this whole debate on anime. We have the American animation, we have anime, and when I was reading the article, the whole thing just sounds entitled, and not on the anime creator side, on our side. Because who are
Mm-hmm.
we to tell them that, hey, you need to make your animation to fit more of our niche, our animation style, our themes, or whatever? And I feel like we're just missing the point of why people watch anime to begin with.
Preach. And that is my thing. That is my thing. When you talk to people from other nations, they always say Americans act like the world revolves around them. And we do. We act like this amazing, well, I can't talk for the country's politics or the people or anything else, but this country that developed a product that is anime and manga, this amazing thing that is loved worldwide, not just in
Hmm.
America. Other nations love it too. Y'all gotta adjust to us. Y'all gotta adopt our politics, our social politics, our views on how this stuff should be distributed and everything else. How shonen should treat different people within the show, within the anime. And I'm like, no, we watch anime because it is a completely different approach based on a completely different culture, based on different social politics, based on different traditions, different values, different views. They produce this content and we're able to digest it and experience another perspective.
And we
No, do
talked
not
about
adapt
this,
this to be American.
and we talked about this on when we were doing our Black History Month conversation about anime and
Exactly.
manga, and it was we basically said the same thing. Like, who are we to tell them how to create, their content? And at the end of the day, you don't have to watch it. And also, at the end of the day, they didn't have to share it with us. Like, they didn't have to make these deals
Exactly.
with Hulu and Netflix and Disney Plus or whatever to make their content available to us. And I also feel like if you're going to be entitled to tell them to make our stuff match our American animation, I that's going to take away the uniqueness of the animation.
Exactly.
The plot lines, the cliche tropes and all of that, and the themes and everything. I feel like, when, just to quote what one of these studio directors said, like, if you make animation with that in mind, it will become increasingly boring.
It will. Because why do
Eh,
we just want, do y'all just want more Family Guy and Rick and Morty and Simpsons?
But I'm just saying, like, we talk about this sometimes with, like, the American animation, is that we have very few standouts when it
Exactly.
comes to American animation. Like, some of them, like, all of them, like, align, like, have the same foundations, but there's only a few that we've actually sat down and be like, this is good shit. And you guys can attest for that because of what we make mob reviews for. I can count on my fingers how many American animated series that we have really sat down and had heavy conversations about. Invincible, Arcane, The Legend of Vox Machina.
And I would throw in there, I would only throw it in there because even though it's a movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
You're right. But the point that
We
I'm trying to
barely hit 5.
the and I did like the Adventures of Super. I'll take that back. The animation, I like the animation, but it wasn't standout like the other ones that we just
It,
talked about.
it ain't had
But
everybody talking about it like we talk about these popular animes.
but the point that I'm trying to get at is that, as far as American animation goes, to me, and if you disagree, leave a comment, that there's not a lot of standouts. So for us to turn around and tell, the anime community, the creators, the producers, the animators, that, hey, you need to conform to meet our standards. Where what is the standard,
We ain't even set one day. Honestly, here's the funny thing: they set the standard because when you look at a lot of American animation, some of our standouts are taking influence from Japanese anime.
Exactly.
Which is the funny part. We're still talking about Avatar. Let's talk about who Avatar was influenced by, said by the creators themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like when we look at this, my whole thing is another approach, just a completely different approach. Have y'all explored all genres of anime? Y'all still are watching battle shonens that are shown off on Toonami and
Mhm.
everything else. And Attack on Titan was the most unique show y'all watched. Y'all have yet to explore the other demographics, the romance
The
animes, the
sports
comedy
anime,
anime, sports. People kind of are dipping their feet into sports now because of Blue Lock and a few others.
the
But y'all ain't
Haku's series.
Haikyuu, yeah, like y'all ain't even tried nothing. Y'all over here mad at the ones that are on my wall. Like this ain't just a small portion of what's actually out there when it comes to anime and manga content.
I
There's so
agree.
much more.
And I feel like and I feel their frustration because like it's not like they haven't been making adjustments to fit Western audiences anyway. It's like I feel like that's part of the reason why we have dub.
Exactly.
And then like if we want to talk about my a specific um example I want to pull out is Sailor Moon. Like or even like the old 90s animes where they had to change the theme song. So the reason we have two different versions of the Sailor Moon theme song is because the Western audience wanted something different than what Japan already had, which is why we have
Mhm.
that fighting evil by. This is the reason why we have that, and they wanted to switch it up so bad that the lesbian relationship in Sailor Moon got switched to them being cousins, and it was just like they've already been making adjustments to fit the audience. So
Exactly.
it's not like they've been putting up the middle finger to the Western audiences this whole time. It's just I feel like this is the line. It's like, okay,
Exactly.
we not doing that.
And I'm so happy that they did make that announcement because it's like let entitled people know that y'all can't change others. Like we are not the world does not revolve around you. It does not revolve around us. It does not revolve around America. There are so many unique interests. And like what people fail to realize, we getting Korean anime now. I
Yeah,
watched the Chinese anime back in the day, but some people don't even realize that solo leveling, that's not Japanese anime.
yeah.
Now let's look at how anime is starting to spread and how we're getting all these new creative ideas. Don't shut someone else's new idea down. If you don't like it, go support another one. And I would encourage all of the folks who got a little frustrated at that, go look up some of these American comic book artists who I follow on Twitter who are trying to make their own animes and unique shows and go
Hmm.
try them out. Go support them. Go pay for their Patreons. Go send them some money to their Kickstarter programs because
Yeah.
they're out there. Me and Food wanted to write something too. If we ever write something out here and y'all want to see an American based styled anime or whatever, pay some money for it. Show us
Hmm.
that you really want it without just talking that smack.
I just feel like the whole conversation was entitled because at the end of the day, they don't have to give us this content.
Exactly.
Like on the back end, I think when I was reading in the article, they understand that they have a big Western audience, and they understand that the Western audience enjoys their content. They're not like kicking y'all to the curb, but also at the same time is we're not about to change our whole formula
And
to
the
meet y'all's expectation. We're not finna stop doing something that we've been doing for years that we know has been working for years because y'all didn't say this when Dragon Ball Z was out. Y'all didn't say this when Naruto was out. Y'all didn't say this when Sailor Moon was out. Y'all didn't say that,
not at all. And
like
here
have
and
like
here's
part of the reason they say this in the article, like part of the reason why we have this larger buzz is because of the things that we've already been
been
doing.
doing. Exactly. And they do take strides towards giving us little tidbits in here, but it's dependent upon the artist. For example, the Fire Force mangaka, shout out to him. They added a whole lot of black characters because they wanted black people and African people to see some representation in their anime.
Hmm.
They purposely put some of those black characters in Fire Force. But I I'm not going to say these groups are mutually exclusive or inclusive, but I would want to challenge the folks who support the ideology of feeling entitled that Japan should adjust their anime to us and ask them, did y'all celebrate them for Fire Force when they introduced those black characters, or are y'all two separate groups of people? Like, I don't want to, accuse y'all of
I
one
would
thing
like
and
to I would like to ask this. If we're going to ask them to adjust their formula, if they came back and told us to adjust our formula,
are we going to
are
do
we
it?
going to do it? If they told us, if they came and told us, hey, we want y'all to adjust Invincible to look like this, are we going to do it? If they come and tell us we want y'all to adjust Avatar, Arcane, and
If
all of
if they
the
said
comic,
stop putting all these katanas in every show trying to fetishize our culture, would we do it?
that's all I'm saying. So like I it just felt I just felt like we were missing the point of why we got
Mm-hmm.
into anime to begin with. It's because it doesn't look like, you know, our traditional animated series. It's because it touches on these themes and it has these art styles and it has um this certain way of doing things that we don't see in our usual
Exactly.
American animation. And for us to tell them to conform is going to take away all of that uniqueness that got us into anime in the first place.
Exactly. Spot on.
So I I'm glad they rejected it. I'm glad that they're keeping their identity, cuz I feel
Mm-hmm.
that is a big separation between American animation and anime. And I'm glad that there's honing on the fact I like the way that they approach the issue, that they do appreciate the Western audience that they have, but they're standing 10 toes down that this is what makes anime have its identity and that they're not willing to compromise on that identity.
And my whole thing is, how dare y'all tell them to change when it's growing and growing more in the West
I
from
feel like
doing
that
what it
I feel
do?
like that's why I feel like that's why the conversation is coming about. That more people are getting into anime and oh, I just wish it looked like this and oh, I wish like this, because back in the gap when there was a small group of people watching this, we weren't complaining because that's their stuff. Like
We
I'm not gonna
appreciated
complain,
it.
right? I'm not gonna complain about how this anime is created because that's their work. But
Now you
now
got the casual audience who don't really have that nostalgia, that attachment to it, and they're like,
right,
wait a minute, y'all should be doing this better.
right, and that's where I feel like this conversation is coming from. Is that it's more people diving into anime, and it's not like a specific subset of people. We're getting casual anime watchers, like how we have
Mm-hmm.
casual Marvel fans and casual DC fans that
Me.
are not right. Which and that's where we're getting like the tensions and we're bumping heads and having these different opinions because now it's just like it's not a certain subset of people anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
everybody.
Which is funny because it's bound to happen whenever your art continues to expand audiences. Like, there's going to be people who don't cherish you the way that your original fans do, and now they ask questions like this. Because it don't
Mhm.
just happen to anime, it happens to other things. It's happened to comics, it's happened to everything.
Mhm.
It's happening to video games now, and that's a whole completely different argument.
Yeah. So I found that interesting. When I was reading the article, I was like, y'all sound entitled as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoever was the reporter that asked that question, and whoever were the people that supported you in asking that, I ain't gonna wish evil on you. I just don't want you in my circle. I just don't. I don't want that opinion in my circle.
Man. But moving on to we got a few business tech topics that I want to discuss before we end the episode. So as you guys have heard, Um, the House passed legislation Saturday. I can't that not this past Saturday. Can't remember what Saturday that was. But the news came out that
Some
TikTok is
Saturday.
some Saturday that TikTok is going to be banned in the United States if the owner of TikTok does not sell it within a year. But reading the article that I found, it said even if legislation becomes law, the company will have up to a year to find a buyer and will likely try to challenge the law in court, arguing that it would deprive the app's millions of users of their First Amendment rights. Court challenges could significantly delay the timeline set out by Congress or block the law from going into effect. So, I was talking about this with King on whether or not the owner of TikTok is going to sell. And my answer was no.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he's gonna sell.
I saw something where they was also talking about the proprietary algorithm software and how even how that's their bread and butter and that's what's making them their money. Because it's
Hmm.
not the fact that TikTok drops short form content that they're so successful. It's the way they go about it and how viewers are so it's so accessible to find what they're interested in and then be
Exactly.
consistently filled with that amount of entertainment. And it's like if you sell it, I wonder how does their proprietary data, their information, their tooling, their software move over as well? And then you're essentially ruining the company at that point. Who's like, is that going to get shared once it becomes an American brand? What's going to happen to it? And I felt like that approach is almost like anti-competition if that's what's really going on. But
Hmm.
I doubt he would sell. I
I don't.
doubt the owners would sell.
I don't think he's gonna sell. I guess in my on if I was the creator of TikTok, it does not make sense for me to sell my app. Like I'll just y'all just wouldn't use it. Like
Yeah,
I see it two ways. That one, the conversation I was having with King was because he put out a video saying that he was going to fight for the rights for US citizens to continue to use TikTok because there's a lot of people who have come up to high places, who have made a significant amount of income, who has a significant amount of influence, platforms, etc. off this
through
app,
TikTok.
that if it gets banned, that it's gonna have some real uh repercussions. Like there's gonna be some consequences. Well, I won't say consequences because ain't nobody did nothing wrong, but there's gonna be some repercussions if they snatch that out from under them. And then I could see it as, he cares about the people who are using this app. He understands that, like what you were saying, for is quick form
Right,
content. It allows people to find things that they're looking for quickly, and it allows people to share news, updates, and things like that quickly.
right.
In the way that the algorithm works. But then the other side of the conversation was, is he fighting for it because could it be possible that most of his income coming from this app is coming from the United States?
And all of that is possible. All of that is possible because it got to be like, are you paying me for the value of it, but are you also paying me for the value that it will garner me in the future? Because TikTok don't seem like it's one of those apps that's going to die in the near future. Like I know people have said that about other apps like Vine and everything, but literally, even when a company as big as Meta steals their recipes and
Mm-hmm.
applies it, and the app still loses no momentum and continues to innovate with the way it even funds its creators. Like TikTok is worth a lot of money at this point, and the owner probably would be better off keeping it just from an income basis, just from a
Mm-hmm.
hey, I built this and I want to keep my money
Right.
versus selling out. And two, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but like, hey, government, y'all say it's like because of backdoor information and consumer data at risk, but Target and all these other companies just put us at risk not too long ago.
Yeah.
Didn't my
And
data just get exposed for something?
AT&T just had a data breach. But like
Look,
what I was reading in the article is that they were saying that this is one of the first like social media laws that they are really going hard for, versus all of the other concerns that we've had about social media in the past. This is the first one that they've really been like, hey, we need to do something about this TikTok shit.
and that's what confuses me. That's what confuses me because as someone who's a little bit more youthful, you and me understand tech a little bit more than, say, the average person. My question is, why are y'all targeting this? Out of all the things that we could have put into
I
law,
think
like
it's
the age at
because
which people access these platforms,
mhm,
banning, like, say, pornography at certain ages to get a better control over what children are exposed to, out of all the stuff that we really could have focused on, y'all want to buy TikTok and y'all
I think it's
claim it's
because they
because of
can't
user data.
it's because they can't regulate it. If we read between the lines,
They want
they
control.
don't want to ban it officially. They want it to go to somebody else that's
Mm-hmm.
in the bounds of the United States government. And they
Yep.
mentioned Google, they mentioned Oracle, they mentioned Walmart. If he doesn't sell, the app has never, let's just put it out here, the app has never been in the boundaries of the United States, which is why all the data and all of that stuff has been coming up. And if they get him to sell, then it's within the boundaries, and now we have better control on how to regulate how this app works.
And from a business perspective, I get it. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. I do completely get it, and my attachment to TikTok is not that huge to where I will get mad at either of the results. So I want like our viewers to understand that, like from a business perspective, yeah, it makes sense that a government is like, oh, we see this app is super big. We want the business to come to us. We want the money to come to us, especially since our citizens are some of the biggest consumers for said app. I get that perspective. You have the power to do so. You have the power to make this a negotiation. I get it. But I think what they don't recognize is there are a lot of people who are attached to this app who if the owner of this app keeps doing what he's doing, they're going to support him. And so y'all might have to come to a ceasefire, make a new agreement, or just be upfront and transparent about why y'all want to do it in the first place, which ain't going to happen.
I think this is gonna stall. I don't think this is gonna be immediate
For
turnaround.
sure.
Like, we're not gonna wake up tomorrow and TikTok's gonna be gone. This is going to stall out for a while, given what you just alluded to, that there's some type of ulterior motive of why they really want. Because reading between the lines, and like going back to what I just said, reading between the lines, they don't want the app to go away permanently. If they
Or they
wanted
would
the
have been
app
banned it.
if they wanted the app that and if they wanted the app to go away permanently, they would not have came with the conditions that he needed to sell it.
Exactly.
So it's not the app. The whole statement of that they want him to sell it to like Google or who was the other company? Apple. Or was it Apple? It was some other company they listed, like Google or somebody else, that they alluded to that they wanted to buy it. If they had not made that, the fact that they are making that statement is that it was never the app.
Exactly.
There's some type of ulterior motive. There's some other underlining issue or underlining benefit that we don't know about of why they want this app.
I think it's just money. Like me personally, I think a lot of stuff just comes back to money. Like we got a stronghold over social media in general in America. With like forget just Meta with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat, which we already just named a few. WhatsApp is heavily
Mm-hmm.
utilized in a lot of other nations. I think
Mm-hmm.
we just want to keep our hold over that market and get our money in. And it might be for some networking things. Because here's my thing: if y'all are going to say, well, American data can be used by the Chinese or whatever. So what you're telling other nations is that their data is being used by the Americans, right? Like when WhatsApp is being used in Nigeria, the Nigerians' data is being used by us. Is that what you're saying? We know it's
Well,
true, but
we don't own WhatsApp though.
I thought that was that was a Californian company.
Oh, I'm getting that confused with WeChat. WeChat
Yeah,
is the app that rivals, that is what Elon is trying to make X into. WhatsApp
exactly.
is Meta. Okay, I got those confused. My bad.
And that's what I'm saying. Like when y'all say this stuff, are y'all also basically saying the counterpoint that we're using all of the data from other nations? I know we're doing that. We both know we're doing that. But like, are we going to be transparent or not? Y'all just trying to get some money.
Yeah,
Y'all just trying to get some money.
there's some underlining benefit, or there's an underlining motive for why they really want TikTok. I don't think it's what they're telling us. Because
Yeah,
if
because
that
y'all's
was the
protecting
case,
our data.
if that was the case, they would have just told that man to get your app off our app store and get out of here. If that was the
Exactly.
case.
Exactly. It
But
would have been
the
gone.
fact that y'all want to sell, oh yeah, just give us the app. We're gonna ban it, but if you just give us the app, it's just like, see.
See, y'all just want some money, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I'm not that attached to TikTok. I'm not mad at that. But let's keep it a one. Let's keep it a buck.
I would just say I'm not that attached to TikTok, but I understand the benefits
Mm-hmm.
of
For the
and the
folks who really
value
making money on it.
that it brings, and the fact that it's a quick source of information. Like a couple days ago, there was we were on tornado warning, and I just went to TikTok and typed in my city in the tornado, and like 20 videos popped up with the tornado, where it's at, where it's going next, and I was like, Come on. You
That's
can't
because
beat
their
that.
algorithm is just fire.
You can't beat that level of like instant information.
Have you noticed how Meta's algorithm is trying to catch up? How they introduced their smart software even into the search bars of Instagram and Facebook now got that blue
Mm-hmm.
ring.
Yeah,
Like
I just saw that today.
even they're trying to fix their AI to catch up to it.
But
Like I get it.
I just feel like Meta, because me and King talked about this too, like with Meta and YouTube, with Meta having the reels and YouTube shorts. I just feel like that's cool. And if TikTok went away, we would have to utilize those to keep our
Exactly.
content getting pushed out. But I just feel like there's so much going on inside of those apps that it does get blindsided from TikTok. Because when you open TikTok, the first thing it's going to is some short content videos that we can scroll for
Mm-hmm.
hours. You open Instagram, you got stories, posts, then you got reels on the back end. YouTube is some full length videos, the shorts, and you got people, and then they introduce the
Community
community
pages.
thing. So I feel like those apps have a lot of stuff going on that you have to sift through before you get to their TikTok like content.
And even if the information on TikTok is inaccurate, it's also easy to find out if it is inaccurate. Plus, someone like me, I just want to see a fun cooking video of somebody in the forest making a steak.
Yeah,
It look good.
guy in the woods, 40 videos.
The dude who walking around the Everglades snatching up snakes and swamp puppies. It's cool. It's entertaining. And my whole thing is like y'all can't just y'all can try to take it away because y'all have that power as a nation and with your own economy and money and funds and all that other good stuff. But at the same time, y'all ain't gonna win over the citizens and the consumers of this product. Y'all
And
ain't
that's
finna
why
do that.
this is going to drag out. And that
It is.
and that's what I'm saying, like this is going to drag out for a while. Like the ultimatum is there, but when we reach that year, I don't think we'll come to a resolution.
I think it's gonna be a battle of attrition because it's like everybody's motivated to stick to their side. So I want to know what's going to be the factor that basically makes someone give. Because it's like if the owner sells, bing bang boom, American consumers still have TikTok, America gets their control. If he doesn't sell and the app gets banned, how many folks in America are going to be like, bro, y'all just took my source of income, F you, now the government gets, like, how are protests going to rise? Are people going to be that upset? Are they going to get over it? There's a lot of risk that comes with that as well. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
would
it's
It would have to be significant because like when we first started this conversation, I mentioned that there are a lot of people who have risen to very high platforms because
mm-hmm.
of TikTok. But these platforms that I'm referring to are outside of TikTok. Like if TikTok went away,
YouTube.
they would still have that platform. They would still have that audience. So I feel like people whose platform solely depends on TikTok, because a lot of these creators have extended past it, because now they're doing their YouTube, Twitch, all of these other platforms. If their platform solely dependent on TikTok, that if we woke up and it got snatched away overnight, that's the significance that I feel like would have to happen.
But then I would ask you, because now that I've taken in your perspective, I would almost say that TikTok, well, the owner is at a disadvantage because if the creators did right, which we're trying to future proof ourselves for, if we once we get big, they would have expanded into YouTube and Facebook, even if
I mean,
their
that's
2
that's
million followers didn't convert to 2 million subscribers on YouTube,
mhm.
even if it's just 100,000. If them followers really want to watch their content, they're going to get on YouTube and they're going to subscribe and start watching them shorts.
But most creators have been doing that anyway. Like when they first talked about banning TikTok, I was seeing a lot of content creators on Twitter saying that, hey, don't keep your content solely on one platform.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they've already been saying that, but I see your point of view of saying that he's at a disadvantage because then their audience would just jump to the next thing. But I think it's kind of like of a double-edged sword because yes, he's at a disadvantage because if TikTok went away, some people might not be too upset about it because I can still follow this creator on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. But for the
Exactly.
other side, and in going back to the algorithm conversation, the way that those apps might handle their content as far as algorithms go may be significantly different from how it's being handled on TikTok. If we want to talk about audience and we want to talk about views
They
and
might be
discover,
very
if we want to
different.
talk and we want to talk about discovery as well.
They might be very different, but I think they could come very close depending on how much they invest into it, which they've already been doing. Like, even I would say the Instagram Explore page has become a little bit better at exposing
Hmm.
me to things I want. The issue is that I have to go over to the Explore page. You know what I'm saying? TikTok
Right.
algorithm, the first thing that's there is basically their Explore page. So it's like converting that over, having the instincts to switch to that, if that's the type of experience I want to have, is what's really going to be a determining factor in my opinion. But
Hmm.
I don't feel like that's going to be a long-term issue. I feel like that's more
I
short-term.
I could see it. I could see it not being a long-term issue, but I think it would be an issue to begin with
Mm-hmm.
because we've already talked about how it's hard to get into the YouTube algorithm. Like if you don't break through that first like couple hours, like it's done. Instagram is the
Mm,
same way, and then with Twitter, it's getting even harder doing to like with the Twitter Blue stuff and all of that other stuff that they're working into. But I don't disagree that those apps aren't making the moves to increase their algorithms. But I'm just saying that at this point, if TikTok got snatched from under us overnight, I feel it's a double-edged sword on both his side and our side.
yeah. Because one thing that is interesting about the TikTok algorithm, someone could have like 5 videos with no views, but if they upload one video that's pretty fire, 3 million views. Like the Tessa girl or whatever. I can't. Don't let me butcher her name. Who talked about like the boyfriend that dumped her or something and broke up with her. That
Oh
started hitting
yeah.
like big news channels. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Went viral out of the blue. But if you look at their videos before that, it wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting about the TikTok algorithm. Like you could literally get big overnight. YouTube, it ain't like that no more. You might get
Right.
big over a year or two,
And
but
that's
you
all
ain't
I'm
getting big
saying.
overnight.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, yes, we can move our audience to YouTube, but are we gonna still get that level of impact as far as discovery,
Mm-hmm.
views, etc. on YouTube the same way we are gonna get on TikTok? And right now, I'm gonna say no. And this isn't to say that if it went away, that all of these other apps aren't gonna start improving their algorithm to match it. It's just that
Right.
right now, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, but I definitely support your idea. I definitely think it's gonna be like a battle of attrition. Who's going to give first, and they're probably going to prolong this as long as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm interested to see how this plays out. To anybody who is making moves on TikTok, for all of our content creators, like we
Mm-hmm.
just said before, like in midst of conversation, start branching out your content to these other platforms. Like don't like start posting your videos on YouTube, Instagram Reels, etc., and start building out your audience, or migrate your audience to these other platforms just as a precaution. Not saying that TikTok is going to disappear overnight, but just like spread out your content.
And if TikTok is your source, give us some input. How do y'all feel about it? Are y'all worried? Are y'all scared? Are y'all like,
Yeah.
I did the work. I'm gonna be alright.
I I mean, I could see, so even if they did put in the work on like these multiple platforms, I could still see some people being frustrated because of like, I've built up this platform, I've racked in millions of followers, I get all of these views, that's a piece of like my income, that's a piece of my platform, that's a piece of my influence that is at risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I
I
see,
agree.
I like, even with us, I mean, we're not like racking in millions of views, but you know, the views that we are getting, the audience that we have been building, that's gonna go away too. And we're stuck
Yeah.
back at square one before we got on TikTok. So you know,
Yeah,
the
because we
the
kind of get a
frustrate the
decent amount of support on all platforms at this point.
right. So the frustration is valid on all fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Find out next time on the Blerd Mob podcast. But we're touching an hour 30, or almost an hour 30. So I want to go ahead and shut this down. So once again, Ryan,
Cool.
I want to thank you for joining us on another episode, or joining me on another episode of the Blerd Mob podcast. I want to thank everybody who tuned into this episode. Whether this is your first time or 50th time listening or watching, it's always appreciated. Make sure you guys follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at the Blerd Mob Pod. We're on Twitter at the Blerd Mob, and you can find us on Facebook, and TikTok at the Blerd Mob Podcast. Make sure you check out the links in the description. We got a couple things. One, join our community Discord so you can get updates when we drop episodes, and anything that we post on social media. Check out our affiliate link to Entertainment Earth. You see the Funkos in my background. You see the Funkos in Ryan's background. Make sure you grab you something nice. The proceeds of your purchase, or some of the proceeds of your purchase, goes to the Blerd Mob. So you know, we pay for the equipment, the software, and everything that we use to bring you this episode. If you go to Entertainment Earth and you don't see anything you like, but you still want to give us a donation, make sure you check out our Ko-fi link. You can give us a straight donation through there. And like I said, all of the donations goes toward equipment, software, and everything that brings you guys these lovely episodes. And with all of that being said, this is the mob checking out. Peace.
If you was in that situation, not with no prior information, would y'all have stayed with Jinwoo, or would y'all ran away from that man?
Who are we though? What level we at though? And you know what? It don't even matter.
It don't even matter.
It didn't even matter. Yo,